Which?
All right, I am going to call the meeting to order, the Park and Rec Commission. Yeah, he gave me a wave. Jill, can you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Lloyd Grachek,
Here.
Commissioner Laura Greenlee-Karp,
Here.
Commissioner Frahm, Commissioner Ingrid Koller,
Here.
Commissioner Sue Springborn. Here. Commissioner Sarah Zahradka,
Here.
Commissioner Artie Alvarez,
Here.
Councilmember Cassidy Schweer. Here. And myself.
We have a quorum. Adoption of the agenda, motion.
I make a motion.
Laura makes a motion, second.
Second.
Sarah seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the June minutes. Motion, please.
I make a motion.
Sarah makes a motion, second.
I'll second that.
Ingrid seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm gonna go to Zooms first. Any Zooms? So I don't forget.
Nobody's on Zoom.
Okay, then we'll go to Southwood Nature Preserve. We got a budget request and presentation. Are there people from the, come on up and just make sure you got all the names? You know all the names? Okay, perfect. Hi,
Hey,
Darryl.
everybody. I'm Daryl Meyer. Been on the task force down at Southwood for, well, with Kathy, who I'm sure you usually see all the time. 2007, we started doing stuff down there. So just kind of run through some stuff we've done so far this year. Near Earth Day, we had a cleanup project with a dozen or so kids from the junior ROTC from the high school. In June, we had 2 days with some kids from the GAP program. Getting rid of burdock, buckthorn, and spreading some of the wood chips that had been dumped out in a big pile. In July, we had a church youth group out pulling some burdock. And September, we've got another buckthorn attack scheduled with a group from St. Mark's. Minnesota Native Landscapes has been out a handful of times, maybe. I don't know. I don't always see when I see when they're there, but or when the signs go up. But we're just kind of continuing on with keeping as much as we can a handle on the invasives. Kind of scaled back a little bit here on planting more natives. Just kind of see what comes up when because we keep being surprised in some of these areas where we'll see some natives that are springing up once we get rid of the invasives. So if we can just go with what's already there, a lot better. Also going to try and present to you a proposed budget for next year. About the same, a little bit more, looking at just with how prices go up for everything. Figuring about $2,700 to pay for professional buckthorn removal. And that's, we find, I mean, when we have the volunteer groups come out, they do an okay job, but some gets missed. And, you know, we were just working in one area where you could tell a lot of stuff got missed. And if you're familiar at all, but if you cut it and you don't treat it, it grows up 4 or 5 times. So having the professional crews come in, when it's gone, it's gone. So we've found that for the dollars that have been spent, it's been money well spent.
How's the knotweed doing? Or is that still a nightmare?
It's a lot better than it was.
Good job, thank you.
We've got the one guy, John Lampy, that's kind of got his own company that donates time and product as he's trying to develop his company and how to control it. Has sort of been using us as a test plot, and so kind of experimenting on what works and what doesn't, and so we've been benefiting from that for a number of years. Let's see. Some professional prairie maintenance for about 2,500. Miscellaneous supplies that we sometimes figure we need were for watering and feeding some of the volunteers. If we need some supplies, tools, sometimes we do have a stash of tools that we have found work really well, but they break. So $300 there, and then there's sort of the continuing wood chip struggle for 1,500. So we'd look at an extra, or look at 7,000 for next year.
Any questions?
I have a question, knowing all the conversations we've had about budget. So let's say you buy the $300 on tools, or you do the $2,700 in buckthorn removal. Is this the city requesting this then to pay through, or is this invoices being paid back? I know we had issues with that in the past.
So we're actually working through the details of that right now. No, they would not be purchasing it.
Okay,
They come to us with the request, and then it would be running through Public Works. Anything that's done on
Perfect.
the preserve is done.
and then is this, going back to budgets, is this like out of the general park fund, or is this out of events budget, or like where does this coming from?
About what we're,
I know this was confusing. Okay, so maintenance, okay, great.
Any other questions?
So none of this comes out of the park?
correct. So they're, so it's a little, it's changed a little bit. We have them come to present to you, so you know what's going on in Southwood. There's no budget approval. It's coming out of park maintenance.
That's great. That's what we've, I think, been saying we wanted for a long time. It's maintenance, it's park maintenance, okay. That's great. So they don't need an approval from us today. This is just an education.
No.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thank you for all the help. Thank you for
Well
everything you
done,
guys do.
well done. Anything else on that? Questions, comments? All right,
Thank you.
well, looks like we moved to Southwood Southwood budget approval. So I'll open it up for discussion.
We don't have to approve the budget.
Do you want the budget approved this?
There's no budget. I made the agenda before,
Oh, so this, we can cross that.
so we can say there's no budget approval needed.
Okay,
Cross it out.
Howsey Park?
I don't care. I don't care, and I can't tell.
I'll just come up so I can be on the microphone because I don't talk loud enough. This is an agenda item to let you know that the city was awarded the grant that we applied for through the DNR. And so part of that is we'll get $194,392. But we were notified after our grant award on July 13th that there are some strings attached and some provisions that we need to have modified. As the project was designed, there is not a connecting sidewalk from the pickleball court to the ball field. And because of that, we're not eligible for the money. So the choices are, we either have to include a sidewalk or we can remove the ball field. And I think that that was something that had been talked about before I started with the city. And if that is the decision that the Parks Commission would like to go with, that is an option that the DNR would find acceptable.
Maybe we can describe it a little more. It would be taking out the benches, the backstop, and just making it a green field available for soccer, baseball, football, kind of a multi-purpose field.
Does it get used? Does the field, when my kids played, that field was being used, it's not being used at all?
Doesn't get used anymore, just because there's no NSPAA, so any of the events we had over the past probably 6-7 years were held up, everything was held up at McKnight Field.
Okay. It probably gets used, like, I think I've seen, families throwing the ball there, or practicing hitting, or stuff like that, but no formal use. Okay.
So because it's a ball field now, it has to meet some requirements, but if we get the ball field out of there, then it goes away.
Correct.
Correct,
Yep.
okay.
So the green space doesn't require the additional ADA
Okay.
compliant piece. So I'm looking for a recommendation from the Parks Commission on whether or not we should redesign the park or, redesign either as ADA compliant, which will cost a lot more, and probably would require, a substantial reinvestment, or we could remove the ball field, which probably could be done by Public Works.
Substantial, what are we looking at to put the ADA in?
Um,
Ballpark?
I don't know if I could provide that information, but the whole project was bid at about 400,000. So as part of that was the sidewalk, so I would imagine like at least a quarter of that or 20% potentially. I honestly don't know what it costs to
Okay.
put in concrete, but I don't think it's inexpensive.
I'm gonna make a motion
Can I ask
to,
a question, Lloyd? Sorry, before you make a motion. I thought with the 389, we did propose at least a sidewalk between the building and the pickleball.
We do,
Okay,
we
okay.
do, but it's the piece that's connecting to that ball field that
Got it.
doesn't exist.
This is between the pickleball and the current ball field.
Correct.
Not to the building.
Yep.
And to note, the ball field isn't ADA compliant in and of itself, correct? Like we could,
My knowledge.
yeah, so we could put a path there, but it still would not be ADA compliant. So it'd be,
So the option is to put this extra sidewalk in at more cost, or just say, let's use this spot that we aren't really using for planned
Correct.
baseball and make it a multi-purpose green space.
yep.
okay, I make a motion to remove the ball field, make it into a green space to comply with the DNR grant? Do we need all that in there or not?
I think that gets the point across, yeah. So
Okay,
modifying the park to remove the ball field to be compliant with the grant requirements, yeah.
that's my motion. Second?
I second.
Laura seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you very much.
Old business. Anybody got any old business other than Star Watch?
I have something I wanted to circle back on, I just asked a question about. In regards to our, we met at McKnight Fields back in, was it July? We didn't have the meeting after that, I think. But my question was gonna be, I know we are further out on deciding like what exactly to do with that park, but one thing we all agreed as commissioners who were there is that that one part terribly needs to be torn out. So as we're talking about tearing out a ball field, I don't know when we can get on the timeline, but I would love for that one tennis court that we all agree is decrepit and a little dangerous looking to be torn out at the same time. Like, I know we don't have to decide what that space is gonna be yet, maybe someone else can correct me, but as we're talking about tearing things up, I would love for that to be on the mix of maybe getting it done whenever this ball field will be taken out, because it's dangerous looking. And in general, kind of dangerous, because my kids keep running under that jagged fence to get things, so. I don't know if we can put that on the agenda for next month or something, or how we make that decision. I know sometimes city maintenance just does that stuff, but I think we were all pretty much in agreement of like taking out the decrepit one
And to clarify, that's the one in the middle.
in the middle. Of
Yeah, not the very large one.
Not the one we think's repairable, no.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know what the process is with that, but I just, I got asked by another parent, like, why don't you guys just take that out? I'm like, you know what, you're kind of right. We still are deciding what that space is gonna be, but we've definitely taken things out before we put something else back in. Not that it's, okay.
All right, any other old business other than, I've got Star Watch September 20th? Yes, okay.
And
Anybody,
we could just comment on the last Music in the Park. Seemed like it was a great turnout, good weather. A lot of people enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a great night. That was the most attendance I've seen at any of the,
Was that the kids one?
no, that was the July one.
Okay.
This was empty pockets and loose change, yeah, some spare change. And I don't know whether they promoted it through their socials a lot but there were just a lot of people there. It was really gratifying to see that. So, do you know how the food truck did?
I think they did pretty well. They had a pretty consistent line there.
Good.
I'd just like to put a bug in anybody's ear about Star Watch, if they're available on the 20th. Did Nancy ever, I'm gonna get ahold of Nancy, because I thought, Nancy mentioned that she wanted to. Okay, I'll get ahold of, well, Jill, you and I can get ahold of Nancy, and anybody else that wants to help with Star Watch, just get ahold of Jill.
What month?
September 20th,
Okay.
week, 6 days after the parade. All right, any other old business? All right, Ron, you're on.
So, I think all you guys know me. My name is Ron Ritchie, I'm Public Works Director. And I was just asked to come give a little park update, and then if you guys have questions or concerns or whatever, you can let me know here. But I'll just give you I'm not sure if you guys want something specific, but I'll talk about what we have done in the park so far this year. It's kind of for new projects. Casey Lake, we did some path work in the back. We moved the path in the back west corner. The path was there's a lot of trees, and the tree roots got under the path, and it was all crumbled, and it was in pretty bad shape. So we ended up cutting down a couple of trees, and then we ended up moving the path out about, 15, 20 feet from where it was, closer into the park, so we'd be away from the roots of those trees, so we didn't have to cut down a bunch of other trees. That work just got done last week, so that's completed. You'll notice that there's a new patch going up towards the building. When they were doing the work, carting the stuff in and out, they sunk through part of the old path, so that's why that chunk is redone, if you have any questions about that. But we made them replace that because they sunk through that. We also put irrigation in. It's going to be a two-part process, irrigation around the building and around the playground. And for the money that we had budgeted for that, we were only able to do half of it this year, and we're going to do the other half next year. What'll all be irrigated is around the building, the playground, and basically that inner path going down to the pond there. Not quite out to the ball fields, but that whole area in there. And we're going to end up removing some of the gravel that's in there, get some black dirt in there, so we can get some grass growing. If you guys remember, there used to be a road that went through there. When that road got removed, they really didn't remove it well enough. That's why there's a lot of dirt, and it's really hard packed there. But we're working on that, and that'll continue on next year. What else have we done here? Casey Lake, Silver Lake bathrooms. I don't know if you guys have been up in those. We remodeled those over the winter, which we were lucky enough. We had a couple of guys in the crew that we could have do that, so we kind of worked on that in our off snow time this year, which wasn't a whole lot because we got a lot of snow this year. But we remodeled those, basically gutted them all. We put some some plastic panels on the wall, so it's easier to clean up. All new toilets, all new stalls, you know, and we were able to probably save half the cost of what it would cost because we were able to have, you know, a couple guys in the crew do it. So that was really nice. I mean, that was one of the bigger projects that we had too.
Can I ask a quick question about
Yep.
that? Did I hear, unfortunately, that they had been vandalized again?
Yes, so I was gonna talk about kind of, you know, just what kind of maintenance do we do in the parks or what we do. We spend, I would say probably on average, not two full days, but 2 days a week, we spend putting stuff back together in all of our park buildings. Our public bathrooms, Rotary Park, Southwood Park, I could send you guys pictures. But normally 2 nights a week, they take the plumbing apart out of the bottom of the sinks, they tear the sinks off the walls. Right now, Rotary Park, the keypads to get in there, they have been busted out twice. Those keypads are $2,000 a piece. We can't get parts for them right now. But just in the last month and a half, Rotary Park, 2 sets of locks. One of them is locked down right now because we can't get the parts for it, so we just have it locked down. And then the other one, just last week, someone went in there and took the air hand dryer or the hand dryer out of the wall. So there's live wires that were sticking out with that, so I had to shut that down. I have a new one of those on order. Silver Lake bathrooms, the sinks have been busted off of there twice. It's been graffitied inside probably 3 or 4 times where the whole walls have been spray painted. And Casey Lake, sinks broke off the walls. For the last month, someone goes in there and takes the plumbing all apart underneath. I don't know why they leave it there sometimes. We can't quite figure out what the deal is, but normally every night I get a call from the janitors, twice a week for sure, about, hey, this is what's going on. I have to close the bathroom. This sink doesn't have this. So we spend a ton of time cleaning up graffiti, putting stuff back together. I mean, it's definitely a weekly process that we have to do this stuff. It's kind of a joke in the morning meeting. They're like, what do we got to go fix this today? But it's really disheartening to see. And, you know, we don't have cameras up at Silver Lake because there's no Wi-Fi up there for that. We have cameras down at Rotary Park, but they face the parking lot. But just even with our, and I'm just telling you guys the facts in this. So I don't want you guys, I don't want this to be like I'm being a downer on this. It's what it is, but I think it's good for you guys to all know that the park rentals, or like Casey Lake Park, when that gets rented, it's a constant battle with getting the people out of there on time. The janitors are having to deal with calling the police multiple times to get the people out. The people will leave. They'll leave everything they brought in there. The excessive trash, we might make 2 or 3 truckloads of trash out for what the people leave. They leave chairs. It is like it's a full-time job just keeping that place up, and that has to be cleaned. The janitors go in there like 11 midnight when they're supposed to be out of there, because the next people, when they rent it, they can be in there at 7 in the morning if they, rent that. So
like a percentage, if you had to guess, like out of 10 rentals, how often, like how many are like a bad disaster level?
well, out of 10, disasters, rentals that require extra work, a bunch of extra work,
Yep.
I'd say, I'll say 2.
Okay.
But it's, these things, like if we had another one of those facilities to rent out, I would be cringing. Just because it is a bunch of extra work. Holiday weekends when it's really warm, just to parks in general, park trash. With the car show, for our guys, we have, all weekend, we have 2 guys come in Saturday morning to do park trash. just because the parks get used a lot, that's good, but when it's nice out Silver Lake, you know, the barrels are overflowing, you know, in one evening. So Friday night, the car show happens, the guys come in at usually like 5 o'clock in the morning. I have 2 guys come in to do all the car show trash, and then they go to the parks. They do Silver Lake, Rotary Park, Silver Lake, Casey Lake, just to, in Housie, if there's an event there, the trash might be overflowing there. We built a surround to kind of have the janitors be able to hide the trash back in that, but a lot of times that's really full and they won't be able to put trash in there for the next night if there's a rental. So every weekend throughout the summer, we basically have a guy in every morning, 2 guys in Saturday mornings, 1 guy in Sunday morning to, you know, take care of the park trash. And if there's anything that happens in the buildings, you know, over that time, so.
What about the security deposit? Are we getting, if we're having these things get trashed, are we grabbing the security deposit from the people?
Yeah, anything that's considered above and beyond, we do contact them and withhold deposits and collect more if we needed.
Are we back to the state where now everyone has paid a deposit? I know that was a problem last year, but now everyone who's renting the facilities has paid a deposit, right?
They pay deposit.
Okay. My question too is around cameras. So are there facilities where there are cameras that you feel like this deters some of this? Or I would almost, like hearing this, would rather take some park budget and allocate it for correct especially we know where Casey has, you know,
Yep.
or some of these places like Rotary, like, can we just buy another like, I know it doesn't always solve the problem in the moment, but if there is a motion activated or something that you can go back and check to see if this is the same person, and then the police can kind of track it more. I personally like hearing that. I'm glad you told us, but to me, I'm like, if we don't have cameras on this, it's kind of shame on us if this keeps happening, to have some way to monitor that. If you think that would help, and if that's a decision we can make, I feel like that would be a great resource of our money to all the effort you guys put into this to keep it in good shape.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm just, you know, just passing this along, you know, I've brought it up to some of the council members just to.
Yeah, but it's
get every-
probably the same person doing it.
Exactly.
It's not like 50 people are going and taking plumbing apart. Like, who does that?
Right.
Are like, let's find this person. And I know at some facilities, I've seen at some parks and the CVS by my house, there's like a little solar powered camera by the police. Like, is if it's happening more when these parks are open, is there something we can work with the police department to say, hey, we want to put a camera where it's very noticeable, aimed right at these bathrooms, and we want someone in the department to have their eyes on it and say, hey, something's happening. I mean, you can't always know when someone goes in the bathroom, but you can tell probably based on a timeline or something, but.
It feels like there needs to be a next level of intervention, like based on what you're describing, it's a pervasive problem. And if we have cameras that aren't pointed at the problem areas, that's a problem. So like, there does need to be some level of intervention, whether it's the parks, like you said, supplying more cameras, working with PD, but like, what you're saying is not okay. That's not the best use of your time, and that's not what you and your team are here to do.
Yep, and like I said, some of it, the problem is we just don't have, I mean, we could have like trail cameras or something like that wasn't hooked up to our Wi-Fi. It's just a matter of what we're gonna do, how we're gonna, you know, handle it. And PD, you know, we file police reports with them, so, you know, we have stuff on record and they know, and, you know, we forward them all the pictures, you know, of this stuff, so, like I said, it was more kind of just FYI for you guys, and just to know that a lot of time is spent with that stuff, so. You know, and that's the same like music in the park, and, you know, we spend a lot of time up there cleaning up the sidewalks, and that's not graffiti, it's normally just chalk and stuff where kids are doing on there, which is perfectly fine. But maintaining these park buildings, more park building shelters that we get, you know, that is, it's a lot of maintenance.
At what point is not, I mean, at what point do we have to change the events, the lateness of the hour, or is there any way we can change our requirements for who's renting those spaces? Do we no longer rent to a late time at night?
It's already cost so much money to rent those buildings. Like, doesn't it cost close to, what's the deposit?
So weekend, typically on Casey's super popular. for residents, 400 for non, with the deposit of 350.
And my,
It's pretty, actually, pretty reasonable, less than what you'll find in surrounding areas.
and I'm just saying, is there a way we can look at the events that we're allowing in those spaces? And maybe the fee is less, because we're saying this needs to be a shorter period of time. I'm just opening that up as perhaps a solution.
And this is
is-
kind of the time too, Sarah and I have been going through the rental policy, trying to add and subtract what we've seen over the year. So that was actually something I was gonna bring in the next month, because then that would be for 2024. We can
Because
look at pricing and look at other ways to try and prevent it.
Are there like common themes that you've seen? Like you just said, you've been talking to Sarah about what you've seen outside of like what Ron is talking about.
It's hard to tell. I mean, we have so many good rentals, and then the last 2 weekends, it's been hard. So you never know when it's gonna happen.
Are people who misuse the rental allowed to rent again? Okay, so we at least have that. Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, that was just FYI, we don't need to talk about that all night.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so like I said, maintenance in the parks, mowing, weed whipping, fertilizing, irrigation, that keeps us busy. Just if all you guys don't know, we had a crew of 9, and this year we just got another FTE added to our crew, so we have 10 people. But the 10 people that we have, we're responsible for everything in the city, streets, water, sewer. The other night we had a water main break, which is very uncommon in the summertime. But so we're spread pretty thin in the summertime when it comes to maintenance. And without our summertime help kids that we hire, we'd be in trouble. And each year we have a harder and harder time getting these, getting kids in there to work. I think this year we had ended up with 6, which was really good. But like blacktopping crew, it's a minimum like 5 people. Mowing, we have to have at least 2 people on that, 3 people on that, 4 people on that with weed whipping. So like I said, get spread pretty thin. You got tree trimming, you got patching, you got sewer cleaning, you got all this stuff that we have to do. So each day we got to kind of pick and choose what we do. So if there's things that you see in the parks where you're like, hey, why aren't there? We don't have a dedicated park crew. We're rotating guys in and out of different things. We try to get some consistency with some mowing, and we have schedules for that, so so people can pick up, hey, where do you leave off? Where are you here? But there's a lot for us to take care of in the summer, and that's barring no storms or anything that happens. I mean, 50% of the time we make a schedule for the day and we head in a different direction because, something comes up.
Well, thank you to all the staff that are here and to all the staff with the city and for the Public Works. They did a nice job at Southwood this winter when they trimmed the trees.
Oh, yeah, and that's a work in progress, in there. This winter with all the heavy snow, a lot of trees got broken. And we were dealing with the hanging broken limbs on the roads. And Parks kind of takes a back seat. We make sure that they're safe. There's nothing hanging over the pass. And if anyone ever sees that, let us know. But we go out if there's stuff like in Southwood that's way back in the woods that's hanging, that's kind of our secondary work because we're catching up on stuff on the roads. We got emerald ash borer in town. We're dealing with that. You can probably see driving around town, the rapid decline. You can really start to see the trees show up. We have 1,500 trees. We had 1,500 trees that we have to remove, and we got to take them all down. We're treating. So right now. I think we're at about we have about 625 left. Our plan is to remove like 120 a year. So, and that number is based off a budget, really, with what we can have or what we have for a budget number. We have about 625 left. We're treating about 120 of them, which are in parks right now. In treating them, you can keep them alive. You can, they're kind of on life support, but we're buying time so we can kind of keep a schedule with removing these trees. We asked for a little more money this year in the budget to help with some removals, because you not only remove the trees, when you remove them, we replace them. Not necessarily in the same spot, but we kind of do one for one. If we remove one, we replace one. We gotta grind all the stumps, then you gotta do all the restoration that goes with that. So the cost that, goes along with that. This year, we're applying for a couple of grants. There's a couple of good grants out there, so we're hoping that we get some money, for that kind of stuff, or for that to help us out with that. But just kind of giving you guys a broad picture. And again, any questions or anything you guys have, or want to go in a different direction, just stop me here. But
Nice job on the signs. Southwood.
oh, yeah, I don't know if you saw us to the park signs. I think we have them all in now. I believe we do. But yeah, that was we kind of did that, and we'd go out, get some of them prepped, call locates in. Then concrete is through the roof. We're getting concrete, and to get a truck, that would be the cheapest way to go, but the concrete companies won't drive from place to place to place. So we've been getting a U-cart that we can get from Oakdale Rental, and it's a little more money that way, but it was the only way we could really do it. So yeah, I think all the park signs are in now. We have ordered graffiti remover. So far, we haven't had any problems with those yet, or nothing's been on those, which is nice. But we wanted to Jill ordered some graffiti remover from the company that we got the signs from, because some of our stuff, it might be too harsh. I don't want to wreck the signs. I don't know what'll happen to them, but yeah. So we got those. We installed those signs this year. Go on. Any question?
Any questions?
Who takes care of the graffiti in the tunnel under Highway 36, or under Margaret Street?
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So for years, we went down and painted the tunnel, and I could tell you that we painted that tunnel four times a week. We always made a joke. They're like, "Hey, that tunnel's only like 2 feet wide now. It used to be 20 feet because all the paint we're putting on there." But one day, we got a call, and actually, I was just a maintenance guy at that time, and we got a call from the state, and they said, "Hey, you can't be painting our tunnel." So we're like, "Oh, well, we've been doing it for like 3 years." And they're like, "Yeah, we know. You're not supposed to do that. That's our work." So we're like, "All right, well, we'll let you know when it happens." So we let them know, but they won't come out for like weeks. And they say if you get graffitied, we had some classes on it, they say if you can remove it as quickly as possible, it's better than to leave it sit out there. So anyway, we don't do it anymore. So we haven't done it probably for the last 3 years, but we used to.
Any other questions? Thanks, Ron.
Ron?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for everything. All right. Parade information, Jill.
Everybody's coming to the parade? So what we did this year, the parade is on September 14th. Lineup's going to start about 5 o'clock. As many people come as possible. We are doing a combination of just all the commissioners, I believe. Do we have your fire truck, Tim? So,
Ron, can we get a pickup truck again?
no.
Thank you.
So we're going to put all the commissions together, so Park and Rec, Art and Culture, and everybody can just walk together and have
Are
one.
kids allowed to come with, or is it just the adults? Last year, we had some kids helping hand out
Yeah,
candy.
that worked out kind of well. I think one commission was told no kids, and I didn't get that message, so we had kids. I will check.
Okay.
So that's up in the air yet? So whether we can bring our kid is up in the air?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And if there is an age range, which I get, let us know what the age range would be. I know Artie's daughter's a lot older, and I wouldn't even call her a kid.
Yeah, she was pretty excited about doing that again this year, so we had a good time. You had
7-year-old
just
and
enough candy, so you might want to at least the amount you had last year.
Okay. Oh, candy.
Yeah, because we were getting toward the end, we were,
It was sparse at the end, yeah.
yeah, we were,
I was gonna do the.
we're handing one piece at a time at the end.
On there.
That's great. Yeah, the bookmarks were great.
Okay. We'll get those going.
Could we put our banner that we're gonna order on the side of the truck, just so like it, like as, or on one of the trucks? Because then because we were literally walking up and telling everybody like about the events, but if there is something on the side of the truck like this, or road signs that we could hold or whatever.
We'll figure out something.
Yeah, we had We had a banner on last year, didn't? I
It just
believe?
said like
Yeah.
Art Commission.
So I know there's a,
We have a banner coming in for the Autumn Art Festival, which is 2 days after that. I'm like, we could just put that.
yeah, it would be great.
We could even walk with that, I think.
I was gonna say, can we do the,
So we need
like, that's in
kids.
front of us?
Because it's a hard, like, political sign thing, but it's double-sided and it's 8 feet wide. So
Great, yeah, that's what you give to the kids that stand at the front and they just saw,
Yeah.
that's their job. Great.
we can get that to work.
All right. Any reports from commission and liaison? I'm gonna start with Sarah. Anything?
Just a quick update, for those of you who don't know, Autumn Art Festival, since that'll happen before our next meeting, is on September 16th. It's coming together really well. I can't speak to everything, but we have performers slated throughout the whole event. Empty Pockets, which was the last band at the concerts, will be our finishing act, and I think we have over 20 makers. I think we're solidifying about 5 food trucks that will be there. The community education donated a bounce house. We'll have art activities going on and bingo in the building. The art cart will be out there with an activity, so it's a little bit coming together this year, a little more than the 2 months we had last year to plan. So hope you all can be there. We have a volunteer sheet online. The city shared it, but we can also maybe send it out in an email for people to sign up, or if you have groups of people you know who are looking for volunteer hours. We've set up the sign up, it's a sign up genius, with just like, they can sign up if they want to volunteer at the art cart, or they want to help do traffic control. So if you know of anybody, family members or friends that like to help at things like this, certainly older retired people like to do the traffic control. We need some people to do that. They don't have to be, but that's usually who likes to, the Larrys of the world, like, I'll take traffic control. So, we can send that via email, but we're still looking for volunteers and groups. We're just kind of on that now to just kind of fill in those spots. And it's 11 to 6. So this volunteer spots are open like 9 to 6. So
Thanks, Sarah.
Did you,
Laura?
can I ask?
Laura? Oh,
Can I ask something? Did you find the supplies? Did you find, you were looking for a bin of?
Never did.
Oh, okay. Do you remember, did we put anything in the,
We looked
in the shed? Oh, okay.
Couldn't find what she was looking for.
Okay,
I'll keep looking.
yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
it's upstairs.
Laura?
I'm working on the Autumn Arts Fest with Sarah, so I echo what she said.
Star Watch, September 20th. Ingrid? Sue? Artie? Cassidy? All right. Motion, I got everybody. You got anything else, Jill, before I?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Sarah makes a motion second.
I second.
Ingrid second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yes.